I truly believe Usopp's gonna be moving crazy by the end of the series. First, to fill you in on where my mental state is at, I was a conformity gate believer. Do with that information what you will, but that aside, I truly believe that God D. Usopp will be getting stronger. Let's talk about how. 1. We could go down the route of him unlocking Future Sight. I'm not a super fan of this, at least not yet, because I feel like he needs to boost his attack power before he worries about increasing his perception, which definitely will need to do if he wants to stand a chance against someone like Sniper Van Augur that could teleport, but we're in the land of the giants, and seeing your enemy coming is only part of the fight. They're pretty huge. I don't think you're gonna have an issue with that. 2, we could see him developing armament Haki. Yes, we already know he has observation, so him getting armament is not a reach. And honestly, it's gonna be a requirement if he wants to hang with the big boys. At the same time too, we've seen Straw Hats without armament take on other enemies who have armament, so maybe armament isn't as important as we thought.
Message!
With this, we might see a deeper understanding of how Haki can be extended to items that are not in direct contact with you, such as his pop greens or anything else that he decides to let out of his slingshot. Now, option 3, on the subject of shooting, we could see Usopp potentially get a weapon upgrade.
And a bullet!
No!
In general, Usopp's Kurokabuto is an interesting weapon that includes a massive bag of pellets from different types of explosions and bindings, and even an emergency boat. Usopp seems to have whatever he needs for the situation he finds himself in. Maybe there are plans in Elbaf that Usopp could add to his arsenal to bolster what he has, but we may see something like that once we leave Elbaf, rather than during. Now, his slingshot is iconic, and I honestly don't want to see anything other than his slingshot, unless it is a hammer, of course.
Ooh, you naughty whackers bonkers.
I'm sure you've heard of the theories of Usopp wielding a hammer like Mjolnir well before Elbaf, and well before we saw Ragnar. The foreshadowing has been there since Arlong Park. Out of Usopp's 4 major fights, 3, I said it again, 3 of his enemies were defeated by a hammer. That is 75%, people. 75% of his wins coming from a hammer in some way, shape, or form. Now, I feel like there is 2 main routes we could go down with Usopp. We could see him get a random new hammer. I'm okay with that, to be honest, but what's really the fun in that? So I feel like we need to add some spice and everything nice to this. Maybe a devil fruit included in there. So that's where we have Ragnar as an option, because it's already a hammer that has powers. Why not let Usopp wield it? Again, that whole Mjolnir energy aspect thing, that would be perfect for him. Now, here's the thing. Ragnar does have a wielder, and that would be an issue because Ragnar's wielder is possibly one of the strongest dudes inside of the series as it stands. So one of the ways that we can see this going down is Loki gets Domi reversied. Usopp has to take up the mantle of the hammer and use it to somehow bring Loki back to his regular state. Now, or we could possibly see Usopp get a spirit of his very own. That is something that I personally like myself. Now that kind of goes into my next power up, because I feel like this spirit should be a zone of sorts. I know it doesn't have to be, I know there's other options, but perfectly fine if it is a paramecia, but I would prefer a zone for the reason of I would love for drumroll number 4, a mount. Now, interesting motif we see Usopp have to not deal with per se, but find himself in a lot of arcs is he randomly finds himself riding a mount into battle. Now, in Alabasta, it was Chopper. Inside of, I believe, Skypiea, it was a Sky Weaver, whatever thing. And then we had, again, some random boats, the mini Going Merry. We had, what else do we have? Some giants. Yes, giants in any lobby. He did ride giants into battle. Don't forget that, people. Okay. And then again, a lot of other little mounts up until like a lion inside of Wano. So mounts, very common in Usopp's arsenal, but how will we see them in Elbaf? Now, if you watch my other videos, you would know where I stand on this, but seeing how you may not have, and since you're not going to subscribe, you might as well go out and watch it again, but I'll just quickly say it here, where I believe that Usopp could get a Devil Fruit or Spirit Bonding power, it should be the eagle that's on top of Yggdrasil. Again, there's lore behind that, but I'm not here to explain it now. The eagle that sits on top of Yggdrasil, possibly the hawk that sits between his eyes, or a third bird of prey, the owl that seems to have disappeared as it stands. Yes, Biblo. Now, again, one little slight thing that, you know, kind of like might be foreshadowing, or it could just be an excessively long reach. The fact that Usopp does look like an owl when he puts his goggles on, again, could be completely coincidental, but keep that in mind. Now, one of the good things with Biblo is you have the option of like growing as a person, or as like, you know, your weapons. You could somehow take one of his Usopp hammers and make it 10 times, 100 times, million times larger, or some of his pellets 100 times larger. Now you have a giant Venus flytrap that you gotta deal with, things like that. And I'm like, that would be very cool. Plus, again, he has a mount, not only a regular mount that can like move around, but a flying mount at that. So big props to number 4. But honestly, I would have to say the next one is my favorite. Now for option number 5, let's talk about the possibility of Usopp getting Conqueror's Haki. Now, okay, I know how it sounds. Either, for me personally, there's two routes we can go for this. One, I know it sounds wild. Usopp, yes, the scariest person there, deserves Conqueror's Haki. Again, I feel like he has shown multiple times that he has the qualities of a king. Now, I mean, you can look throughout the series, outside of Luffy, Usopp is number 2. Arguably, he might even be number 1 when it comes to recruiting. No, that's number 2. My bad. That was a bit egregious for me. That was a jump. My bad. But number 2, when it comes to amassing an army, Luffy has gotten countries behind his back, but in the shadows, you have Usopp, who has completely flipped the tide in battle in Wano by changing the gifters. You have Usopp, who got the giants in Enies Lobby to join his side. You have Usopp, who got the entire Grand Fleet back in Dressrosa, completely ruining Doflamingo's operation. Thousands of people have followed behind Usopp, leading him to get the name God Usopp. I think we forget this. And then we have another moment where Usopp decided to speak into Luffy, making sure that he stood on his 2 feet and finish that fight with Rob Lucci. Another moment where he spoke things into existence that's escaping me right now. But I remember when he picked up that hammer and smacked Perona and she started foaming at the mouth as if she got hit with a Conqueror's Haki blast. I feel like that is more than enough foreshadowing for that. Now, that aside, because don't get me wrong, as much as I can see it and I would be ecstatic and I will jump at joy, I think on that whole side of Perona, we should consider the option of possibly Conqueror's canceling. Now, yes, no, we haven't seen anything like this before, but maybe we have, in the way of Usopp canceling out Perona's Devil Fruit, simply because he was just a depressed sack of whatever you want to call it, but he was not doing well. So her depression ghost could not get to him. So what if Usopp transcends a level of, I don't know what mojo to put it into, and it could be positive. It could be a thing where he's just like so headstrong where he's like, no, I refuse to bow because I am in the land of the giants. Something akin to that. What if, hear me out, he uses that to cancel the conquerors of other people? And now I'm not talking about just regular people. I'm talking about figures like Emu, figures like Loki, figures that will have you shaking and falling down and foaming and doing all the things that Conqueror's Haki makes you do. Now, this has no bearing per se, but I think knowing that you can have observation canceling, which is not reserved for, but we know the only person with it as it stands would be God King Shanks. But that aside, with that being said, there's possibility that there could be other types of canceling, and I would like to give none other than God Usopp the opportunity to cancel out Conqueror's Haki. Now, thank you for following me on this rant, try to make it as quick as possible, but what are some powers you think Usopp could get? And also, I did another video of Usopp possibly having some giant DNA, and again, if you want to go and watch that video, it's somewhere on my channel, go find that. If I drop any other videos, you would get that if you just subscribe. It'd be a lot easier. I wouldn't have to consistently remind you that I've talked about these things before, and you'd be like, what is he talking about? Well, I already talked about it. If you watched the videos, you would have known. So anyway, have a good one. Yes, see you in the next one. Peace.